Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at the cause and effect and pleasure and pain quadrant system. And this is the foundation to a special teaching tool that I created that I call the Ultimate Schematic. And if you haven't seen this short 20-minute video, I explain how I created this tool by interconnecting two quadrant systems that both use two forms of two-value logic, so that each one of the 6 boxes will have an ordered pair and a polar opposite and will logically connect to all of its adjacent boxes. And altogether there are 18 connections or 18 portals, and then I've identified 281 of the most important pieces out of the millions of pieces that are within this special teaching tool. But it didn't start out with 6 boxes, it started out with one quadrant system. And I wanted to use it to prove to everybody how we're being screwed by the system and how we're being tricked into taking the first step in the wrong direction by putting the cart before the horse. And if we look at the cause and effect pleasure and pain quadrant system, one of the first things I thought of to myself is, why haven't I ever seen this before? Is this intentionally kept from us so that we can't figure out that we're getting screwed? I kind of think it is. Because how can this not be common knowledge? When you look at quadrant systems, we have the Cartesian coordinate system that most of us are familiar with. You know, we had graph paper in school, remember, where we had an x-axis and a y-axis, and we had plus plus and a plus negative, or however, backwards plus negative. No, backward, I did it right the first time. Anyway, that's pretty much the only quadrant system we've ever seen. And then someone like Ken Wilber comes along and creates all these quadrant systems that a lot of people fell in love with. And he did a really brilliant job of indexing and mapping all the world's views and religions and philosophies. But the problem is he did it on the wrong path. We really don't need to know that much detailed information on the wrong path. We want to get off the wrong path. We want to get out of Plato's cave. We don't want to make Plato's cave too cozy. But Ken Wilber's quadrant systems used interior, exterior, and individual and collective. Now, we can't use that to solve problems. The only way we can solve problems with a quadrant system is when we use cause and effect. Don't you see? Why? Because we're living systems, and we're subject to the law of cause and effect, just like all matter is subject to Newton's third law of motion, the law of action and reaction. These are ordered pairs. One comes before the other. The sequence cannot be reversed. This is how we can tell if we're putting the cart before the horse. So that was the purpose of why I created this cause and effect, pleasure and pain quadrant system. I wanted to explain to people logically what's going on. So when you look at cause and effect, and then you look at the effect, it's either positive or negative. So that's the quadrant system. But when we look at cause and effect, the cause are the things we do. These are our lifestyle choices. These are the actions we take. The effects, that's what we got. These are the things we got. This is part of our feedback system. This is where most of our problems are. And when we look at all of our problems in the negative effect box, where we have hundreds of thousands of them actually, we have those that are within our control and outside of control. And if the problem is outside of control, all we can do is work with the effect. And that's all our current system is doing. And the way they deal with the effect is, if you look at cause and effect, there's a doorway in between cause and effect. Normally, it's an automatic. Once we do something, we get it. We reap what we sow. But the way our current medical system works is they're like magicians. They're creating an illusion that we don't have a problem because they interfere with our body's communication system. So I label this as piece 106. It's the doorway in between cause and effect. And what these drugs do is they don't let the body communicate to itself, so the symptom doesn't manifest. So it's an illusion. It's a magic act. And this is the purpose of why I created this tool, is to help us realize that we have to treat the effect for the problem outside our control, but when the problem is within our control, we don't want to work downstream. We got to work upstream. We got to look at what we're doing. We got to go from the third stage of knowledge to the second stage. We got to go from the effect to the cause. So when I created cause and effect, I labeled it A and B originally. No, it's B and C. It took me a while to realize there was something before the cause, because I tried to use this quadrant system to explain everything, and I realized I couldn't explain everything with one quadrant system. That's why I had to create another quadrant system. And then when I tried to explain everything using these two quadrant systems that I condensed down from 8 boxes to 6, I found I couldn't explain everything because some of the pieces of my puzzle were in between the boxes. There were doorways. In fact, like I said, I have 18 portals altogether. There are 6 doorways, 4 gateways, and then 8 wormholes, which is just the ripple effect. And I explained this the other day in my video about how accounting works, where you have a beginning period and an ending period. The ending period comes back and becomes the ending period. That's the ripple effect. That's where effects become causes, as in the causal loop, and then effects become knowledge, as in the knowledge loop. So that's the 8 wormholes. Initially, I only had 4 wormholes, actually. It's really quite interesting. I went many years with only 4 wormholes until I tried to figure out, well, where does false interpretations, where would that fit on my 6-box system? And then that's when I realized there's 4 more wormholes. But anyway, I explained that in more detail in the ultimate schematic. But what we need to understand about the quadrant system I created, again, the purpose of it is to show us how we're being tricked and fooled, how they're putting our so-called experts in between the cause and effect. And I've explained this before. This is one of the 3 ways we can screw up the law of cause and effect, when we interfere with our body's feedback system. Remember, it's a trick. And I also did a video on 3 ways we screw up the law of cause and effect. If you haven't seen that, you might want to go down below in the description box and look at that video. But again, the point I'm trying to get here is that we have to take responsibility for the problems that we got and consider the possibility that it might be within our control. And that's what I'm trying to do with the first of my 3-step process. My contention is that we're making 5 main mistakes based on 5 things we mastered. Most people aren't going to agree 100%. Some people are going to think it's okay to eat animals. Some people are going to think it's okay to eat grains and things like that. And what I'm saying is, let's just open up our mind for a moment. Let's just do a little test. Let's test an idea as time has come. and correct these 5 main mistakes on a temporary basis. And watch the transformation you go through. People say, oh, John, your way may work, but it's no different than McDougall. Bullshit! McDougall's way doesn't work for anything. It works for a couple of degenerative diseases, but it doesn't get rid of the vast majority of the other problems that cooked food causes. We got to correct all these mistakes, and we're in such a state of denial. And all I'm trying to do is to, number 1, make sure we don't get tricked into thinking that the doctors are the experts. Now, be careful. A lot of people will take that and run with it, and I've seen it so often. I wanted to come up with a name for it, and I couldn't think of a name for it, and I was thinking about it too much. I said, I gotta give it some name because I'm thinking about it too much. I gotta start calling it something. And so, for lack of a better name, and to this day I can't come up with a better name, I call it Rose's 1-2 Poppycockers. And the way that works is they'll take something that's true, like, look, the conventional medicine doesn't work. It's bullshit. It's treating the symptoms. You got to remove the causes, and then that's where the poppycock comes along. I got the solution, acupuncture. I got the solution, herbs. I got the solution, homeopathy. No, those are all part of the art. I got the solution, starch solution. No, that's only correcting 3 mistakes. You got to correct the 2 other mistakes you're making. There's 5 mistakes we got to correct, and let's just open up our mind and correct them all to see what happens. And what you're going to find is you're going to go to another level that the starch solution didn't take you. You're going to go to another level that herbs and acupuncture didn't take you. Those are the art. The art is bullshit unless you apply the science. You got to remove the primary causes. The big cause, number 1, cooking our food. Everyone's in denial. I'm going bananas with you guys. You're pulling me down. No man is an island. We're all connected. We got to be the best that we can be. That's why this is a bottom-up solution. This solution only works when we all play our role. And we got to get enough of us to wake everyone up. And there's several ways to do that. You can simply adopt a raw vegan diet. It's going to take longer for you to be the change that you want to see for people. You do a juice fast, my God, you see results 10 times faster. Everyone around you goes, wow, what happened to you? You eat a raw vegan diet, they'll probably say that, but it won't be as quick. And for some of you it will be because you're in such bad shape. This will make a big change for you. But nothing transforms the body like a solid food vacation. There's a reason why Herbert Shelton said fasting is the best preparation for a better way of life. There's a reason why Tolstoy said fasting is the first step for a good life. Why? Because we're under the spell, we're addicted, we're in denial. Wake up, you bozos. let's get our act together and be the best that we can be. Most of y'all don't know what you're missing. First of all, we know conventional medicine doesn't work. Don't get tricked with thinking that acupuncture or herbs or starches are the solution. They're better than what we're doing, and we may still need to do the acupuncture. We may still need to do the herbs. Those are good protocols that are part of the art. We need to use them in many times, but never unless we're doing the science first. And if you don't do the science and you're doing the art, shame on you. You're taking away their motivation, their pain. You think you're doing them a favor? You're wrong. You're doing them a disservice. Get them to change what they're eating. Oh, they won't change. They'll suffer. Good. That's what it's going to take for them to do something. We got to suffer. We got to wake up. Most people have to hit rock bottom before they do something. Isn't it amazing how we think we're doing good when we're not? Think about this. Think about it. Think about it. You're taking away their motivation. Oh, but they're suffering. Exactly. What do you think the pain and suffering's for? One of these days they're going to wake up. If not, they're going to suffer. Well, good for them. If they're going to keep making mistakes, they deserve to suffer. Arr! I get so frustrated with even people saying, God healed the disease. God doesn't take away symptoms. That's bullshit. Think about that one for a second. I know I'm offending a lot of people now. Oh, it's miraculous healing. No, think about it. God gave us a feedback system for a reason. He gave us pain for a reason. He's not going to take that away unless we're correcting the mistakes. That doesn't make sense. You're not thinking this out. A lot of things heal spontaneously. I prayed for it. It went away. I'm not discounting prayer. I'm not discounting the power of thoughts. But I'm telling you right now, God is not going to take away one of your symptoms unless maybe he knows you've got some calling that you need to follow through with. Maybe that might work. I can see that. So, okay, I know I shouldn't take this away, but I know you're going to finally wake up and you will correct your mistakes. Otherwise, the pain is there to tell us to correct the mistakes. Don't get injected by allopathic medicine or acupuncturists unless you also correct your mistakes. Now, do we need to go to the doctor? Of course, there's a lot of things we can use them for problems outside our control. Pretty much everything else is just hazardous to our health, but some of you guys have got to a point where you have such a chronic condition, you actually do need to have their support now. Remember, what allopathic medicine does is they basically control the body. There's a time and a place to control the body. There's a time and a place to put the cart before the horse. If the horse breaks its leg and we don't want it to keep moving, so it bleeds to death. So and there's times, my God, my brother was saved when he was on the operating table recently because his heart started racing out of control, and they gave him a drug for blood pressure that lowered it down during the operation. So it literally saved his life, and he probably to this day still thinks that's a miracle, thank God, of medicine. But if it wasn't for those bastards to begin with, he would have had the complications that they had to go in for the second time. So if it wasn't for them, he would still have a colon. If it wasn't for them, he would have had scar tissue that blocked up on him and had to go into an emergency operation where he almost died because his heart started racing. So they gave him a drug, saved his life. So yeah, there's a time and a place to use allopathic medicine. But look what they're doing. They're getting us in trouble to begin with. We have to realize that life is not that complicated if we take responsibility and take a closer look at what we're doing and consider the possibility that some of the things we love might not love us back, and that we've actually become addicted to it, and now we're in denial, we're rationalizing, we're intellectualizing, we're generalizing, we're minimizing, we're doing everything but taking responsibility and make a better choice. And the problem with a lot of this is that we're always looking for a reason not to do something, aren't we? Oh, well, I don't want to live this way because the world can't live this way. Well, the world's not living this way now, so you can't use that for an excuse. So all I can say is beware, the mind is really tricky. It will fool you, it will trick you, it will delude you into believing that what you're doing is okay and that life would not be worth living if you weren't doing it. But that's why life is such an illusion on so many levels. Most of our short-term pain is producing most of our long-term suffering. And I know how hard this is to wrap most people's brains around, because they think, how could cooking cause so many problems? I cook my food and I don't have arthritis. I cook my food and I don't have colitis. I cook my food and I don't have all these diseases you're saying cooked food causes. But what we have to think about is that if one mistake creates hundreds of thousands of problems, not everyone can manifest all 100,000s of problems, don't you see? It's just like taking a drug. We know this, right? Take a drug and you have a dozen symptoms. Does everyone get this and this? No, they've done their studies. 10% get this and 10% get this and 10% get this. And by the way, people who say, where are your scientific studies that raw food works? Okay, bozo, who's going to finance those studies, you stupid idiot? And you think science has the answers? Oh, God, I get so frustrated. People say, where's the science? Where's the science? Read, trust us, we're experts. We don't have experts. Studies are worthless in most cases. There are some good ones out there that reveal what we're doing works. But that's not where our energy is going. That's not what the rules of the world want us to know. And they're controlling all of this. You're delusional if you think that you can trust science in any way, shape, or form. I guarantee you, the truth has enemies. Cooking is enemy number one. There's going to be more lies about cooking food than anything else on this planet, because that's what has to be protected to keep the status quo from the status quo. That's the first cause. Everything else you want to say, no, it's money, no, it's this. Well, why do we have money? Cooking our food. That's what created an exchange mentality. You got to go back to the first cause. I've done this over and over and over. I can't find another cause. People say, no, animals. No, we're cooking our food to eat the animals. Cooking came before the animals. Oh, we're eating tumors. Oh, no, we weren't. Come on, why would we do that? We didn't have access to fire when our brains doubled in size. That was 2 million years ago. Our brains doubled in size before we mastered fire. And you keep seeing people saying, oh, we got smarter because we started cooking tumors. Ah, no, man. We didn't have the brain power to cook. Cooking didn't make our brains smarter. Bullshit. Where's the proof? Use your common sense. God almighty, if you want proof, if you want scientific proof, do the first of my three-step process. Within days, you will see all the proof you need. Scientific proof, concrete, verifiable proof, indisputable proof that what I'm saying is true. You got a serpent inside you. Your biophotons are too low. And I guarantee you, my friends, when you poop out that serpent and when you pump up your biophotons, you're in for a treat.